Welcome everybody to PinstripeChronicles. I'm Tats. I'm here with Rob and Donald, and the Yankees are just—I don't know how much faster they're going to fall in these standings because it is looking dreary, and they just can't seem to get their heads out of their ass. The offense that was doing really well just completely just grinded to a halt yesterday. We know that Ryu is supposed to be their ace of the staff, but you should be able, he's not an ace like Garrett Cole. You should be able to hit him around a little bit. 5 hits is unacceptable with this lineup. And what do you think is attributing the most to the issues with the Yankees lately, Rob?
It's that domino effect. One thing goes wrong, a lot of things go wrong. Like we've seen it all year. When the Yankees are bad, they're bad. Like there's no kind of in between where it's like, oh well, at least they did this right. But the offense, when it's struggling, and this offense, this lineup, no matter what variation Boone puts out there every day, it should not struggle to score any run. The fact that we're putting zeros on the board or barely putting anything on the board going into the 9th inning is bad. Joey Gallo has been bad. I still think he's going to eventually, he needs to break out of this slump. But a lot's wrong. Like you can't hit a guy with an ERA nearing 4. Like Ryu's good, but we've hit him before. So the fact that we're not able to put up even a single run against him is alarming. And you wonder what they're doing practice-wise, like now compared to what they were doing in the 13-game win streak. It's like, how do we go from way up here to way down here so fast? Usually you kind of see like a little bit of a decline where you're close, and then eventually they start getting blown out. I was kind of expecting some sort of a losing streak after you win 13, but not like this when every game's important.
Not in this. We did say that they would, they were going to hit a little bit of a slide, but I don't think we saw it to this magnitude. Where the games are just really just not competitive. I think that's what's been more frustrating. It's not like you're grinding out games where you just, you get into a little bad luck and it just wasn't your game. They're not even showing up, and that's been the problem. That's been the big spotlight, is the lack of effort, not the lack of wins. And I think that's what's really been the alarming part, especially at this stretch of the season. Donald, do you agree?
3 errors, no extra base hits yesterday. That's embarrassing. But as I mentioned yesterday's radio show with Tom on sportnarium.com, as I mentioned on the call, the Yankees have gotten away from what was working during their winning streak. During their winning streak, they played fundamental baseball. They were happy to take the contact, happy to take their hits, and they were happy to try and steal bases because they made use of Velasquez and Wade's speed at the bottom of the order. And then they had quality defensive guys like Velasquez and Short. Okay, now so they had that, and then they were also quite happy to take what the pitcher's giving them. Now, after the 13-game winning streak, it's almost like as if the Yankees are like, oh, great, we bought ourselves some room now to maneuver a little bit, and then we can go back to what we wanted to do before, which is just wait for a home run. Okay, so now no one's getting on base, no one's stealing anymore. Once they're on base, now they're striking out at a ridiculous rate, and they're just waiting for home runs. And also the fundamentals have fallen completely apart now. And a lot of it is attributed to Torres at shortstop. He's a really, really bad shortstop, horrendously bad shortstop. And although there was debates going on Twitter about Velasquez, Torres, and all that stuff, no one is debating that Torres is a much better player. However, if you've got a quality shortstop that gobbles up every single play in that direction, it makes things so much easier for your pitcher. You know that you're not going to give him extra outs, right? Torres is giving these guys extra outs every single time he's almost getting the ball's hit towards him. That makes a big difference, okay? And he's not hitting enough to make up for his lack of defense. So I think that's a big part of these losses. And also, so they've gone away the fundamentals, right? That's a big thing. But also, now they've reverted back to the way that they were managing their lineups and their rosters all last year and all pre-deadline, where they're now planning games ahead, planning seasons ahead, series ahead, right? We're like, okay, Baltimore, it's only Baltimore. That's cool. We'll just use all our B-level guys. We'll rest for 4 regulars. We'll play all our B bullpen guys, right? We'll give them a rest, blah, 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 as if Baltimore doesn't matter, right? Every single game matters because a win is a win. You don't get more wins by beating Toronto than you do Baltimore. Each W counts, right? So it's very strange that they've now basically tanked the Baltimore series in order to rest guys for Toronto, and then they didn't even turn up in Toronto anyway, right? So that's what it is. It's really strange what they're doing. The Yankees are committed to the way that they love to rest guys regardless, and it's coming back to bite them in the ass, quite honestly.
It's embarrassing, dude. Like, Brooks Kriske in a 3-run game. I know we hadn't scored a run, but the game was still in reach. Our offense is more than capable of putting up a 3 spot in the 9th inning. And we're using Brooks Kriske in a September ball game when he hasn't had a single good outing this year. We use Andrew Heaney and he gives up 4 runs, gets 1 out the other day. Where we've lost 2 games in the last week and a half where we scored 7 runs. That should not be happening. And those 2 wins are very important right now in the standings because we have at least a 2-game lead on Boston for that top spot. If we win those 2 games where the offense is actually scoring, and this goes back to Boone, really. Like, if an analytics team is telling you, yeah, use Brooks Kriske here, then the entire analytics team needs to be fired. And if Aaron Boone is listening to that, then Aaron Boone needs to go. This whole organization needs to change their thinking and stop relying so much on that. Or if you're relying on Boone's human element to manage by the gut, then he needs a new gut because this guy makes the wrong decisions all the time. You're benching key players that you're using as pinch hitters anyway. You don't want to put Voit in the lineup because you don't want to play Stanton a second day in a row in the outfield. Why? He's shown that he's fine in the outfield. He's been very good playing right field since we put him out there. Very good. Our defense is better. I mean, maybe not better. Gardner is still a better defender than Stanton when he's in center, but not by a lot because Gardner's faster. But you take Voit out of the lineup, you weaken the lineup. Sorry, Brett Gardner can draw as many walks as he wants. He can get as many singles and go 1 for 4 every day, all he wants. The lineup's better with Voit. It just is. And I don't hate Brett Gardner, but we don't need him in the lineup every single day. We don't need it. We have Gallo, we have Rizzo. There's your lefties. We didn't have lefties all season long, and now all of a sudden we need the balance. What happened to Urshela? I don't know if he's hurt or what. Odor is he's not an everyday player. He gets big hits. He's not an everyday player, though. We're just finding reasons to put these guys in the lineup. So all of a sudden now, in the month of September, lefty balance is important. It wasn't important last year going into the season. It was not important in the offseason, but now it is. And it's annoying because these are games that we should be winning. We should be sweeping Baltimore. We should be taking at least 2 from Los Angeles. I feel like we should be able to beat Toronto at home. Toronto's really good. We can at least take the series or split. I think it's a 4-game set. It's a 4-game series, right?
Yes.
We should at least be able to split with them. And when you don't score against, even with this lineup, we should be able to score against.
How about reach second base? That would be nice.
Yeah. We can't even get guys in scoring position. Like, what are we teaching these guys going? Like, what's the scouting report saying? Hey, you've hit this guy before, a lefty. So we're going to take a big righty bat out of the lineup. What are we doing? It's September. You need your best 9 out there every day. If Gio is hurt and you need to sit him, fine. But I don't want to hear this, well, Stanton needs a day off from the outfield. He had 4 months off.
Oh, they did it in August. That's why we won 13 straight games. They played the same guys every day, and look at the difference it made. And then as soon as the streak ended, they're like, okay, we're in pretty good shape now in the wild card, so now we're just going to rest everybody. It's a very strange way of managing a roster. Brooks Kriske, look at his stats. 11 1/3 innings pitched, 19 earned runs, 15 hits, 13 walks, and 11 innings. That's impossibly bad. 15 ERA.
That's Heaney level bad.
And how can they possibly justify putting him in high leverage situations? There's no justification for it. I understand that Loizaga is hurt. It's really bad news. But there are guys in AAA that could come in and easily do a far better job. But the Yankees are so committed to not admitting that they made a mistake. They made a mistake with Andrew Heaney. It's plainly obvious they made a mistake there, right? But they're not going to admit it because he just traded for him, traded 2 prospects for him. So they're basically riding and dying with him, right? And emphasis on the dying. And Brooks Kriske, they're desperate to prove that we're all stupid and they're right for trusting Brooks Kriske and letting Garrett Whitlock go to Boston in the Rule 5 draft and protecting Kriske, so that Kriske is riding and dying on that hill to emphasis on the dying. So the Yankees are not worried about W's. They're worried about proving a point. And that is very concerning for a fan base.
Yeah, the one move I thought that, when I saw that Kriske was coming up, it was a cringe moment, especially when you have, Riddings down there that they could have called up. That's a more a stronger arm for a bullpen than Kriske was, because Riddings was doing just fine.
Great.
Whether it was in the 6th or the 8th inning in some games, or there was one game he came in for extra innings and just even with the runner on second, nobody scored.
Yeah,
so,
and they're so committed to protecting service time that they won't call up Adam Warren, who's having a very, very good year in AAA. He's having 2.80 ERA. You telling me Adam Warren couldn't come in and not give up a 15 ERA? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Toronto admitted their mistake and let go of Brad Hand, and he's a bigger he's a bigger name than Heaney. I mean, I wish Cashman wasn't so proud. He doesn't want to hurt his pride. I like the guy we gave up for him, Junk. We traded for Jansen Junk. We traded for Andrew Heaney, who's probably going to be a solid pitcher for LA. But look, we were probably going to lose him in the Rule 5 anyway. So admit your defeat. Heaney's not good. You let him go. Kriske can be DFA'd. If somebody picks him up and he's okay for them, fine, so be it. He's not performing for you right now, and you're in a playoff race. Adam Warren can easily step in and be a better pitcher because it's not difficult to be better than a guy with a 15 ERA. Luis Heel should be starting for us right now. He's better than Kluber. You cannot rely on Kluber giving you 4 innings and then going to Heaney and be like, we're going to win this game. It's not working. Luis Heel's a better option. You can even put Garcia in the bullpen. Maybe he's better in the bullpen right now. That can get his confidence back up. I don't know. He's looked a little bit better at AAA lately. Not by much, but a little bit better. But they have guys. That's the point. They have guys in the minor leagues right now that are better than Kriske, that are better than Heaney, that are better than Kluber. And we're doing these things in September. We're playing spring training baseball in September when you're this close to losing that top wild card spot.
They have the top wild card spot right now by half a game. And, you got Boston on their heels, and Toronto now is 3 games out of the second wild card spot.
Yeah, you've allowed Toronto to catch right back up.
Yeah.
I think they've caught up like at least 3, maybe 4 games over the last week, and we're just letting them back in it. Because as Rob rightfully points out, is they're trying to do rehab ball or spring training ball in the middle of a pennant race. They're working out Corey Kluber in the middle of a pennant race from a long, long, long time out. It's a very weird way that they're managing this roster. Like Andrew Heaney, a failed starter, right? With below average stuff, below average fastball, and a below average curveball. And they thought, hey, how about we put him in a 7th inning to protect a game, protect a lead? Have you ever heard of that? A failed starter with below average stuff? And they go, oh, he comes in a safe situation. Oh, no, a safe situation, a hold situation.
Well, that's why I said on Sunday, I would have rather them taken another chance and putting Garcia in a game than Andrew Heaney.
And then you saw Aaron Boone asked about it last night. Aaron Boone was asked about it last night. So what do you think about putting Brooks Kriske? And he just shrugged. He went, well, we need to. It's like, he just basically admitted that he had nothing to do with the decision and has told him by front office to who's playing, which pitchers are playing that game the night before. That's how the Yankees work. And Aaron Boone just goes, okay, because there's no way that they could possibly justify if he's managing by the gut to make these decisions, because these are terrible decisions that make no sense.
Yeah, and you're wasting good starts. Tyon wasn't at his best yesterday, but he had a rough start and then cruised through the next 6 innings. I mean, 7 innings, 3 runs, you'll take that every day of the week against an offense like Toronto. And Litke got us through the 8th. The game was still in reach. And then you go to Kriske and all of a sudden it's 8-0. The other day, you waste Gary Sanchez, your entire offense. He has his best day in like what seems like 2 months at the plate. He hits 2 home runs, drives in 6 of your 7 runs, and you waste that by putting in Andrew Heaney. You know,
believe me, I know your head was spinning.
I wanted to break something. Unfortunately, I couldn't. But it's just you have a chance to win a game right there when you blow it. I get Loizaga's hurt, and I keep going back to the Sessa trade. I still don't get that move. It does not make any sense to me. You traded your second best relief pitcher of the season to get rid of Justin Wilson. It doesn't make sense. And you're seeing the repercussions from it now because Chapman sucks, Britton's hurt, Green's been shaky, and Loizaga's hurt. Sessa was better than 3 of those guys I just named this season. And he's been really good for Cincinnati. We could really use him right now. And Cashman is going to tell us that we were ready to go over the luxury tax, but you traded that guy to get rid of a contract in Justin Wilson. The moves, some of these moves don't make sense. Like, I love the Gallo trade. I still like the Gallo trade. I like the Rizzo trade. I'm coming around to the Clay Holmes move because he's been really good. Even though I still love Hoy Park, that's just the prospect hugger in me. But you look at 2 of the moves that he made, Heaney and the Sessa trade, bad. Just inexcusable. Absolutely bad. He did not help him.
At the point in the season where they made the Sessa move, it was frustrating, but it was looked at as an end to a means with trying to reconstruct the roster just a little bit. But now you're starting to see that was a trade that's come back to bite them in the long run, because it really, you see them with these injuries and relievers having their off year, that you don't have the depth that you thought you did. You don't have reliable depth. I'll put it that way. You don't have reliable depth to get through the September rush, because now we're in a rush, and it's do or die right now. Because if they don't get their act together, it's gonna go back to the atmosphere of this team is just not gonna. They're gonna miss the wild card completely, because Boston's gonna get their COVID players back, and they're gonna get back on track. Because as bad as it almost seems that as soon as they passed Boston in the standings is when they took their foot off the gas pedal. That's when, like, all right, we passed Boston, now we can cruise through, forgetting that there was still another month plus of the season at that point, that they still had to play competitive baseball.
They've rested Voit like the majority of the time, and he's now cooled off. They rested Stanton in the middle of his hottest streak, and now he's starting to cool off. Is there any surprise there? No, it's not. This is the way that the Yankees love to manage their roster. They rest guys for a magical tomorrow. It doesn't make any sense. You need to play their best guys every day. And the Sessa trade, it was in order to facilitate the moves that we made with the Gallo and all that stuff, in order for us to stay under the luxury tax and for them to pay the salaries for us. However, I knew that trade was going to be a disaster. Trading him for nothing, it's a nonsensical move. And so that trade plus the Heaney trade has actually negated a lot of the good work that Cashman did, because Heaney's cost us multiple ball games already, and he's only been here like a couple of weeks. So Gallo and Rizzo might have won us a couple, but Heaney's basically brought it back to 500 in terms of wins and losses due to these mistakes that he's been making. It was an awful trade.
it just didn't make sense. Like, you're bringing in a fly ball pitcher to Yankee Stadium. Like, I never understood it. Like, it felt like he made the move to get rid of a Rule 5 guy just to bring in a depth arm. But, like, you had Schmidt coming back from his injury. You had Kluber coming back. At the time, Severino was on the comeback trail. Herman was still here. You didn't need Heaney. If you were going to get a starter, I would have rather than make a big move for a guy like Hendricks or go all out and get Berrios. That would have made more sense. But to bring in a long relief guy, a guy that shouldn't even be in a rotation, LA's rotation is so bad that he was there, and they were willing to get rid of him. That tells you all you need to know about Andrew Heaney. The Angels, who desperately need pitching, said, yeah, take him. Go ahead. You want to give us Jansen Junk, who's having a fantastic year in the minors for Andrew? Yeah, take him. And Brian Cashman's like, depth. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. That move.
Well, like you said, we have the pitching depth. That wasn't the issue. It was the bullpen depth that was starting to go into question. That's what they needed to that's what they needed to focus on. Because the other pitcher that you didn't mention you mentioned earlier was Luis Hill. He's another guy that you could have plugged in for a starting position. That still, he's got a 0 ERA.
And he's not pitching.
And that's not by accident, because he was doing that when we really, were coming out, climbing out of the hole that we put ourselves in. So those were high pressure games that he was pitching in, and he was doing well. So let's reward him for him being a bulldog in those games and leave him down in the minor leagues and had to sit and watch Andrew Heaney give up run after run. And I think Heaney just gave up another home run. He's not even in the game. So
there it goes right now.
Yeah,
there is.
But
it's puzzling. That's the best way I can put it. It's puzzling. Luis Hill has done nothing but pitch and pitch well. 0 ERA, like you just said, Donald. 0. It's the first player to do that in his first 3 starts since 1903 or some nonsense like that. That's not a fluke. Now, he's going to have some hiccups because he's only 21. He might come out his next start and give up like 3 runs, and you're like, oh, see, he's still young. But wouldn't you rather him give you 5 and give up 3 and be like, we can still win this game, instead of turning the ball over to Heaney and he gives up 7? Like, that's the alternative right now. We're going to go Kluber to Heaney every 5th day. It's not working, and it will continue not to work because Andrew Heaney's not good. And if Brooks Kriske is a guy you're relying on in September to win you baseball games or keep you in baseball games, then just wave the white flag now. Wave it. Because what's the point? Imagine we do that in a playoff game. I'm sure it's not going to happen. I would think Aaron Boone has a little bit of sense in that brain of his not to do that. But a little
I don't know.
But imagine that game went to extra innings and you're running out of arms and you have to go to Brooks Kriske with the runner. Actually, no, I don't think they'll do it in the playoffs, but the runner at second is not going to be in the postseason. But imagine, though, at home or on the road against Boston, and he's throwing the ball 30 feet the other direction, and you're trying to hold the game. Like, if that's your option, then we're in bad shape. Now, they can very easily, just as quickly as things have fallen, they can very easily win a few in a row, and you're like, okay, just keep that going, because we've seen them do it before, especially already this year. But right now, you have to question what they're doing because they were so high. You don't ride that high and then just that quickly. Like, I sound like an idiot because I'm rambling right now. I don't know what to think of it. It's very confusing.
They're a very streaky team. Very streaky team. But I do think that we've missed the energy that what would we say, the guys like Odor and Velasquez and even Wade to some extent. I think we've missed a lot of energy that they provided, especially Odor. Odor provided a lot of energy, but to get all the regulars back, it just feels like we're back to where we were. I don't blame the organization for playing the regulars, but I think it's a sign that what they had before isn't working. They need to find a balance. They need to find a healthy balance between hitting home runs, drawing walks, but also having speed at the bottom of the order and having guys that, okay, maybe aren't going to hit 20 home runs, but are going to get get you terrific defense. Do you know what I mean? I think those things actually really matter, and you're seeing it because now they've gone back to where we were. Torres has an attitude which is different from Velasquez. He's a little bit more chilled. He's a little bit more laid back, and I think it's reverberating. Odor had all the energy, all the spark. He'd speak to the pitchers, and he'd pop it with clutch hits. And you have Velasquez playing beautiful defense, and we miss that now because Torres. I'm putting a lot of this on Torres. I think he's been terrible since coming back.
Yeah, Torres just has not been able to recapture anything as far as momentum. He just looks lost, and we use this phrase all the time. He's got, cement shoes on the field at the shortstop position, where we saw with Velasquez that Velasquez was very fluid in the shortstop position. And that's not to say that Velasquez is a far superior player than Torres, but defensively, I think it's safe to make that statement right now. Defensively.
Night and day. Yeah, it's night and day defensively. And the thing with Torres is you can tell that he's in his head right now because that extra step he took the other day when he didn't have to, that's the most evident point that he's in his head. He's like, oh, the guy was hustling down the line. You took an extra step. It's exactly what we complained about with Andujar, with the double clutching before he would throw and why he was so bad at third. Torres clearly, I still think he can be a serviceable shortstop, but it's not going to happen with the Yankees because they're clearly not teaching him right, because otherwise he would be one right now. Let's not act like Didi Gregorius was the greatest defensive shortstop. He's actually having a terrible year with Philadelphia right now. But when you look at him compared to Gleyber, it's almost like, wow, Didi was Jeter compared to Gleyber right now. And that's how bad it's been. And it sucks because we've seen the good from Gleyber at short. We saw it in 2019. We saw it a little bit last year. We saw it a little bit this year. But when he's bad, it just keeps happening. Bad play, routine plays. He's not making routine plays right now at short. And that's how you know he's in his head. So he can go and hit 4 home runs in a 3 or 4 game span. And you're like, well, that's why he's back. But then he can also cost you 3 runs like he did the other day when he booted that play and Abreu ended up giving up runs out of the bullpen. We win that game. There's no need for Heaney at the end of that game. And that is a trickle effect. The defense is just as important as the offense.
I could name 3 plays that only one of them was charged in error with him. One of them was a double clutch. And it was a really bad optics where he said afterwards, oh, that guy hustled down the line. Are you kidding me? What is he supposed to do? Is he supposed to walk to first base? You could have gotten him out easily if you just did your job. You didn't do your job. That's one. Second, he dropped Sanchez's perfectly fine throw, and he dropped it to the guy trying to steal second. There was no problem with that throw as far as I'm concerned. Sanchez got charged the air. Torres dropped it. Really bad play from Torres there. And then yesterday, horrifying what he did there. But as you say, he's all in his head. He's so focused on his feet, and he's so focused on making the initial grab that the throw comes after, and it's not natural, it's not fluid, it's all in his head, it's all mechanics, and he's like, all right, got my feet gathered, now I can throw, and then he drops the throw because he's all in his own head, and we don't have time to fix whatever head issues he's got right now. Every game matters. As far as I'm concerned, bench him, play Velasquez for a couple of days, and make sure that there's some accountability. But the organization doesn't have accountability. They don't. They're scared to admit when whatever they're doing is not working. They need to make that move, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, it's going to be a long week for us. I just have that gut feel, and I think towards the end of the week we should start seeing things start to fall into place with the offense and the pitching, because the pitching really hasn't been the problem. The starting pitching, the bullpen's kind of fallen apart a little bit with the injuries and the underperformance of Green and Chapman, but the offense really, they got to put some runs up tonight, because you cannot waste a game with Cole on the mound. you feel good about Cole tonight because he's just shown that he's shown his last few starts and throughout the year that he is, the best pitcher in the American League right now. And they need to capitalize on him being on the bump and pull out with a W. But that's only going to happen. You can't win a game if the offense is not going to put up a run. So the offense really needs to check itself and make sure that they stay focused tonight, against Mets. And Mets is going to be all hyped up to be back in New York again. So who knows? He'll probably match Cole pitch for pitch at the way this offense has been playing.
Yeah,
We should all thank God that Cole's playing. Thank God Cole's on the mound tonight.
But it's only thank God Cole's on the mound if the offense does its job.
Yeah, because we've seen them not score for him before. We don't score for Montgomery. We didn't score for Tyon yesterday. I hope we can score tonight. This could be, this is maybe just wishful thinking. If we win this game tonight, they go ahead and they're like, okay, we got to get, they keep saying we got to get going. I'm sick of hearing Aaron Boone say we got to get going because he says it after every loss. We got to be better. We got to be better. Well, then manage better because we still see you making these same boneheaded moves. They're playing boonie ball, right? Like the other day, what did he say about Heaney? Like, oh, he made some good pitches. Like, no, he didn't.
No.
That's why.
What good pitch did he throw?
Yeah, he said he was a victim of soft contact. I watched that. There was no soft contact. Trust me.
Oh, that's why I call him Bubble Boy. It's
bad. It's bad. He can't be the manager. He cannot be a major league manager. Like, I don't get, any manager should be able to win with that roster. It's what both Bobby Tats and I were saying the other day on the radio with Thomas. Like, you should be able to win with this roster. The fact that we have not won 90 games or close to it right now with this team is very telling about how they operate. The whole coaching staff. I think Matt Blake gets a pass because he's done some really good things, specifically with Clay Holmes. I'll keep bringing that up because I was pissed about that move, but he's been very, very good. But Marcus Timms, you have Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton, Joey Gallo, Anthony Rizzo. Do I need to keep naming the lineup? And you can't score a run? What's the point of the hitting coach if those guys are not able to generate some sort of offense every single day? They're going to have their bad days. I get it. It's baseball. But when we struggle, this has been all year, we struggle. And that is telling what are we teaching these guys? Because when we were winning games, it wasn't like we were hitting ground balls through the hole. No, like you said, Donald, we were taking what the pitcher gives us. You want to give me a walk? All right, I'm going to take the walk. And then that's when the home runs come. It's like the guy's going to make a mistake. He's trying to get one over the plate for a strike. And then you got to do that to Aaron Judge after you just walked Anthony Rizzo. That's just an example. But now Boone's changing the lineup up. Okay, Gallo's really struggling, so I'm going to put him second. I love Joey Gallo. I still think the move was a good move. But you don't put a struggling guy second in the order when DJ is struggling. Because as hot as he was, now DJ's cooled off. So now you're basically saying, well, he could draw a walk. You can say that for anybody. Aaron Judge can draw a walk. That's why he was batting second. Giancarlo Stanton can draw a walk. That's why he's batted second. Anthony Rizzo was batting second. He can draw a walk too. What's the point? What are we doing here? Stop changing the lineup every day. Play your best nine. And at least you can say, we put our best out there. Especially like the other day when he benched 4 players and all 4 of them came in a pinch hit anyway.
Yeah.
Just play them. Like, it's September. We don't. Oh, God.
That's it. He said last night in the post-game interview, every game matters, he said. Well, if every game matters, why aren't you managing like every game matters? He isn't managing like every game matters. He's taken 2 games off. He took the second Baltimore game off. He rested 4 regulars, and as you say, he had to pinch hit them anyway because no one was hitting. I mean, if every game matters, why are you giving 4 guys a rest day in the same day? If every day matters. If every day matters and you're protecting a 3-run lead, which Gary Sanchez gave you, why are you putting in a field starter who can't pitch to try and hold a lead? If every game matters.
You saw it before he threw the first pitch. when you have a lead like that and you have Heaney on the mound who looked nervous,
Yeah.
That should have been the manager's gut to say, let me get somebody warming up because he doesn't look right. So it's hard. Nobody wants to pitch knowing that over their shoulder is the next guy ready to come in. But sorry, that's the game.
You have to be ready for it.
You have to accept the fact that there's going to be somebody to come in to take the ball from you. And every starter goes into a game knowing that eventually, at some point in those 9 innings, the manager's going to come out and say you're done. So the relievers need to have that. Heaney's got to remember that. That mentality of, I only have this ball for a short amount of time. Let me just do my job. And he can't do his job. If you can't do your job, you should not be working.
Gordon still could have taken him out though, because after the 3 batters, he was clearly horrifyingly bad, and you could have still saved the game after the 3 batters. But no, he basically allowed Heaney all the time in the
I had the bullpen going after the second runner was on base.
Base hit, base hit, base hit, base hit. It wasn't all like home run, home run, home run. It was base hit, base hit, base hit, base hit. He could have taken him out, and he probably would have saved the game. But no, he just sat because he's a terrible manager. He doesn't know what he's doing. Yep. And as for the Gallo thing, that just proves that he's a spreadsheet manager. He's like, oh, Gallo with his high OBP can draw walks. I'm going to put him in the 2-hole. But he's not actually thinking. He's not using his eyes. If he can use his eyes, he can tell you that Gallo is striking out well over 50% of the time, and he's not making any contact whatsoever. Why are you putting him in the 2-hole? Rizzo was doing very well in the 2-hole because that it was a righty-lefty thing because you had LeMahieu, you had Rizzo, then you had Judge and Stanton. Then you could put in Gallo, and that would be fine. You put Gallo lower in the order, and there's less pressure on him. If you're putting him in the 2-hole, he's expected to get on base basically every at-bat. And he's not doing it right now because he's in his own head. You can see every time he strikes out, he's going to the dugout, and he's really upset. And I like him, but right now he's in a ridiculous slump. He's batting under 200. He's batting under the Mendoza line right now. You can't put that in the 2-hole. What are you, fucking crazy?
Yeah, you can't do it. You cannot do it. Like, the lineup was working. And you should be better when you get Urshela and Torres back to replace Odor and Velasquez. It just should be better. And yet it's somehow reverted back, even with Gallo and Rizzo in there and Stanton being red hot and Judge being red hot. They can't hit now. You can't have 2 guys carry your offense the whole year. And if you take Judge and Stanton out of this lineup, what are they doing? Like, what realistically are they doing? Because they're not scoring. LeMahieu's not carrying the lineup. Sanchez isn't doing it. Voigt's for sure not doing it. Rizzo and Gallo aren't doing it. And yet they should be. This whole lineup 1 through 9 should be the scariest lineup in baseball.
Yeah.
Any pitcher should look at this lineup and go, crap, I have to navigate through DJ LeMahieu, Anthony Rizzo, Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton, Joey Gallo, Luke Voigt, Gary Sanchez, Gio Urshela, Gleyber Torres. That is not easy. But when you're not having that lineup out there every day, and instead, it's changing every single day. Oh, now Gallo's batting second instead of batting fifth, and now Voigt's not in the lineup instead of being behind Joey Gallo. Like, you got to think about that. If you're a pitcher, I got to get Gallo out, because if I put him on, I got to deal with Voigt, who can put 2 on the board with 1 swing, especially because he's such a free swinger. That's why the lineup balance is so important, and it was working. And Aaron Boone's like, it's just Baltimore. We lost 2 out of 3. It's just the Angels. We lost 2 out of 3. Stop changing the lineup.
Yep.
Put your fucking best 9 out there. God damn it.
And they've managed Voigt out of his hot streak, and they managed Stanton out of his hot streak. Stanton was in the middle of his. That's why I went insane when they rested him, because I was like, I can predict what's going to happen here. Because when he gets back, maybe he'll be okay in the first day, but things will start tailing off, because that's kind of what happens.
And that's exactly what happened. We said, why you rest? They love to give him those 2 days off, and then it completely cools him down. And once again, we knew what was going to happen before the manager did.
Yeah.
So
and look, Voigt, he was raging, and you took advantage of that, and he was having an AL Player of the Week. And then what was his reward for that? He's played about 1-2 games, maybe out of the last week, maybe more. How are you supposed to manage like that? Baseball is not like football where it's just automatic. Baseball is all about hot streaks to take advantage of. Now he's stone cold and basically useless unless he's hot. It's a terrible way to manage a roster, terrible way to handle guys. And if I were Voigt, I'd be wanting to move next year because this is just pointless.
So, all right, Donald, time for awards.
I mean, there's no awards to give. I mean, are you kidding me? No extra base hits? Everybody sucks. I'm going to give Aaron Boone I'm running out of awards for Aaron Boone. Like, he makes me just sick. So I need Kukotamol and I need some freaking Pepto-Bismol award. It goes to Aaron Boone because you suck. You suck. You suck. And Gleyber Torres, the Edward Scissorhands Award goes to Gleyber Torres because you also suck. And that's my awards.
All right.
Oh, Brooks Kriske. Need an award for Brooks Kriske. The 15 ERA award, the 2 touchdowns and a 2-point conversion award goes to Brooks Kriske because you also suck. And that's my suck award.
Brooks Kriske award for pitching goes to Brooks Kriske.
Exactly. Running out of awards for guys that suck.
Yep. All right, Rob, let's get into that fun moment where we do some trivia.
Actually, no, because we are having a very rough week here. So we're going to take a little bye from the trivia. We're missing our good pal Evan today. And yeah.
All right.
Sorry to break the news to you there, but
I was very looking forward to trivia.
What good is trivia if only one person's competing? No offense to you, Tats, but you're not going to offer anything to the whole trivia thing.
No, I'm not. No.
The NFL gets a bye week. We're in week number would be week 11. So we'll say after 10 weeks of trivia, you're in a bye.
Yeah, it is going to be one of those weeks with the holiday and the work schedules. So we'll save my embarrassment for a week.
Look forward to that next week.
I'll make it up. Believe me, I'll make up for it. All right. Well, lucky enough, I do have 2 parts of history. In 1955, in a 2-1 victory over the A's, Whitey Ford becomes the 5th pitcher to throw back-to-back consecutive 1-hitters. And it's about
that's awesome. What was that?
Yeah. Huh?
That's awesome.
Yep. And hopefully Cole can really match what he did his last time, because we really need a overly dominant Cole to give the offense a chance. Yeah. So I like that part of. I like that piece of history. And then also today in 1998, Mark McGwire tied Roger Maris for his 61st home run. On McGuire's father's 61st birthday, which I thought was a cool little side note. So, but Rob, I see what you're doing, and that actually why I picked the second one is because that leads to today's question of the day. And does any of the records from the steroid era hold any validity?
I don't think McGwire should. I'm glad Bonds broke it. I mean, we know Bonds did it. I think at some point you just have to let those guys in because the league let them do it. They only cracked down on it because they were getting, because they got caught. It's the same thing what happened with the juice balls this year and the sticky stuff. I mean, the only reason I don't want it to be valid is because it was a Yankee that had it. Maris broke Ruth's record. And it was like, the Yankees have something. And then you see McGwire do it, knowing damn well he was cheating. And then Bonds did it, knowing damn well he was cheating. But, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, Hank Aaron still holds the all-time home run record. Yeah. As much as I think Bonds should be a Hall of Famer, Aaron did it without cheating, for all we know. Maris did it without cheating, for all we know. I don't think they had performance-enhancing stuff back then. We don't know. Maybe it was those green eggs they were eating in the movie 61, but I don't know. I just at some point you have to let it happen. You know, the whole Pete Rose is not allowed in baseball for gambling, but now baseball's like teaming up with like a huge, like the Barstool crowd, which is just basically all gambling.
It's true.
You know, baseball has a lot of things to do to correct their mistakes in the past, and I think letting Pete Rose back, admitting while Bonds may have cheated, it was still exciting. You still wanted to watch when he was breaking the record. You loved watching Sosa and McGuire go head to head in that home run race, right? So just give it to him. Who cares? It happened.
You need to take it out of the baseball writers playing God and deciding who deserves to be Hall of Famers or not. Roger Clemens, he should be a Hall of Famer, and Barry Bonds should be a Hall of Famer. If they want to do something, if Roger Maris has an asterisk as a very clean player, breaking the home run record, he had an asterisk because he played a shortened season or longer season in comparison to the other ones. Then put an asterisk beside Barry Bonds' home run record and leave it to your interpretation. You know, the record shouldn't go away. Just have the asterisk and go. McGuire and Bonds were connected to PEDs. No charges made. Right? So it's up to your interpretation. Leaves it to future generations to decide how they feel. But you shouldn't just expunge records like that. There's no asterisks beside the Astros cheating to win a World Series, you know. So why not just have an asterisk beside these records and leave it to your interpretation? Roger Clemens was one of the greatest pitchers of a generation. That's indisputable, regardless of whatever he used. I don't think it affected the way he pitched. It might have affected his longevity, but it didn't affect his way he pitched. He was a terrific, incredible pitcher. Have him in there. Barry Bonds, one of the greatest players to ever walk the earth. Yes, he certainly suddenly bulked up to be stronger than a freaking tree trunk, but it doesn't matter because he's still an incredible ball player. You have these guys in the Hall of Fame. Don't have baseball writers who want an ego and want to feel really, really important to decide human beings' fate. I don't like that at all. Leave it to the fans. Leave it to future generations. Put an asterisk beside it. If you want to leave something like PED connection, fine. But I agree with you, Rob.
Yep. Well, tomorrow is the Derek Jeter induction, and with the Hall of Fame. So tune in for the next couple of days as we'll be breaking down the Hall of Fame discussions in depth. So
we have to do a Derek Jeter day. We have to talk about
so
our memories of Captain Clutch.
That will be coming up this week when the four of us are together. So just tune in for that. So thanks for everybody for listening on Sport Narrative.
So I want to ask you something.
Yeah.
How was your day on the water? Tell us about that. It's my question to you.
We had a great day on the water yesterday. You know, my wife and I, it was the currents were really rough, but yeah, we held our own. So, but it was a lot of fun. A couple of friends, we all met up, and it was a fun day out of the house. Yeah, as it always.
What did you catch?
No, we caught porgy, sea bass.
Sea bass.
Yeah, I actually had that for dinner last night. It was delicious.
Oof. Fresh from the water.
Fried, with a little bit of lemon. Oh, it was awesome. So,
that is good. That's incredible, actually.
Yeah, and then later today after the show, I'll be dropping off 100 fish for the food bank. So families could eat that. Not as fortunate to strive through these hard times. So it's always nice to give back to the community, which I encourage everybody to do. In one way or another, however you can, always give back, because there might be one day where you're less fortunate and you might need that hand. And so just remember that as you go through your day. So on behalf of everybody at PinstripeChronicles, we do hope you have a good day and you thrive in everything you hope for. Just remember, tune in during the week. We will be breaking down the Hall of Fame discussions with Derek Jeter, number 2, El Capitan. And just remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Wear your pinstripes with pride and play hard.
Play harder than the Yankees do.
Yeah.